What's going on, YouTube? OCD for EDC here. What I've got for your face balls today, we are talking about the Benchmade Shootout. Now, I'm not going to go over and review this knife. Everybody's already seen it. It's been around for several months now, or a handful of months anyway, and tons of people have bought it. It's a great OTF. It's crazy lightweight, CPM crew wear blade steel, CF Elite scales, and I've got a mini deep carry clip on mine. But the knife is fantastic. They might as well call this thing the sold out, because every time they drop, they're gone within minutes. It's a great knife. However, the one thing that I am not super happy about on this knife is this gargantuan glass breaker that sticks out the end of this knife. This thing sticks up a little over 8 millimeters, and I'm just not pumped on it. So what I did was I did what I normally do and got to work, designed this part right here. Now, I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to call this thing, but you guys will see it here in just a few minutes. But this is the part that I drew up. It's quite complex in its construction. There's a lot going on, but I'm going to disassemble the Shootout and show you guys how you can get rid of your glass breaker as well if you would like to, and I'll tell you all about it in this video. If you've never disassembled a Benchmade Shootout, I will tell you that it's a little bit different than most OTFs. The design is actually fantastic. It's really well thought out. Looking at this through the lens of being able to make tens of thousands of these, it's a pretty genius engineering that's going on inside of this knife. Yeah, it was cool to see. I don't know if anybody else has posted a video yet on disassembling the Benchmade Shootout. I personally had never seen the internals on this knife until I tore it apart myself. Now, I will tell you that if you're not supremely confident in tearing apart this knife yourself, I wouldn't really attempt it, and I'm going to show you why in just a moment. And I'm already off to a bad start. One of the things that you want to do, we'll just use this little box real quick, but you want to get it off track. Have the blade loose just like that, and that'll relieve some spring tension inside the knife. So that's the first thing that you want to do. Then pull the screws out, and then once you get the top cover off, this is what you're left with right here. Now, the actual functionality of this knife is very similar to most of the OTFs on the market today. You've got two little dogs, one right here, one up here. This one holds the blade in the closed position. This one holds the blade in the open position. So most double action OTFs work this way. There are a few exceptions to this rule, but most of them work just like this. The unique part about this knife is this blade carrier, this piece of stainless steel in here. And it's only got 4 screws that hold it together. But I'm going to go ahead and pull the blade out of here and show you how this works. Okay, so the blade is attached to this blade carrier right here, and the only way you can get the blade off of this carrier is to pull that screw. And there's really no reason to pull that screw for this process. Now, these dogs right here have got tiny little coil springs that are held in these dogs that hold the blade in and out. They can and will go flying on you, so that is something to keep in consideration. And there is one of them right there, so you can see how tiny that spring is. The knife will not function without those springs, so make sure you keep track of those. Okay, so we're just going to set all the parts out here. Now, both of these are the exact same, so it doesn't matter the orientation in which you put them back in. However, you can see that there is a little cutout. Hopefully you guys can see that. There is a little cutout right there, and that part does matter. So I will talk about that once I go put this back together. Now, at this point, you can remove the or the switch, and it comes out just like that. You can see they've even weight relieved the switch on both sides. So this thing is all about ultra lightweight. And then here is the glass breaker, and it just lifts up out of there. Now there is a, a piece of hardware that goes through that hole there, and all the rivet side of the Chicago screw, the female side of the Chicago screw, all of them are D-shaped. So there's only 4 that hold this together, but one goes through that hole right there on the Backspacer slash glass breaker. And then you've got your spring carriage, which in this or right here, the spring carriage cannot come out. Now if you can see that little cutout right there, but if you slide this forward to align it with those cutouts, then you can lift the spring carriage out, and there are the 2 springs right there that actually give the action. They are hooked onto the spring carriage. You can remove them, but there is no need to do that. So that part is great. Now, you can see they put some little like plastic insulators on the spring, which is really nice because the very first prototype version of this knife that I handled out at Benchmade several months before this actually released, those springs, you could hear them rattling and hitting the CF Elite, and it just gave it a really kind of a cheap sound and feel. So those little plastic isolators did a lot for just improving the quality, feel, and sound of this knife. So that part is fantastic, but I'm going to go ahead and slide this back in. So on normal application, if you're going to do this mod, there's no reason to remove that spring carriage. You can just leave that in. Now, here's all the prototypes that I went through to get to the actual final piece, and here are the final pieces. So I have them in carbon fiber nylon as well as flat dark earth. So, you know, of course you can match the carbon fiber of the handle scales themselves or the flat dark earth of the blade and the switch. So I'm going to go ahead and put the flat dark earth in. I'll also show you what it looks like with the carbon fiber. But here's the piece right here, and it fits in the exact same way that the standard Backspacer slash glass breaker fits in. And you can see right there, the piece of hardware fits right through that hole, and then it fills that void in the back side of the knife. And like I said, this one here matches the color of the blade as well as the color of the switch. So let me throw this all back together real quick, and then I will show you what this looks like. So I like to put the hardware back in the knife, just like so. Now, at this point, you want the spring carriage to be kind of in the middle position, so it's not putting pressure on either one of those dogs right there. So I'm not going to get too much into the mechanics of how this works, but just know that you want your spring carriage to be about in the middle of its travel. I'll go ahead and put the switch in there. Now, we're going to go ahead and place, actually, before I do that, I'm going to get out my handy dandy Ifixit Tool Kit right here. I'll throw a link up in the description where you guys can pick up this tool kit. But the reason I'm pulling this out, and I've got too much stuff on the table here, is it comes with a bunch of little like plastic tweezers and whatnot. So I'm going to use this little kind of plastic scraper tool. All right. One other thing that I do is take a little bit of Slick-A-Mole and put it right down in that little spring pocket where the spring sits, and that grease is just enough to keep that spring stuck in the right location. highly recommend that. You can pick up the Slick 'em All over at ocdforedc.com. Now, the cutout in these dogs goes down towards the spring carriage. So that little cutout right there. The forward one goes towards the front of the knife. The back one goes towards the back of the knife. And it's pretty self-explanatory where these parts go. They can really only go in one location, but this is a little bit fidgety. Now, it's real important that you keep the blade in the middle part of its travel as well. And I hold it by the blade itself, and then I get the front dog in its location, and then get the back one pushed into its location. Okay. Now, this little plastic scraper tool I use to make sure that I get the springs in the right position. There's a little notch in the CF Elite where the springs fit in. At this point, you want to make sure that your blade moves freely. Just like that, there's no obstruction. And now, you also want to make sure that the backside of your blade carriage is sitting down flush on the surface that it's supposed to be on. Here, I'll try and... So, just like that right there, you can see that the blade carriage is sitting down flush on the backspacer on both top and bottom. And at this point, you want to go ahead, put the top cover on, and now we're going to go and throw the screws in. And like I said, the female side of these Chicago screws is D-shaped. No need to get really carried away. Tightening up the screws, they don't have to be really crazy tight or anything like that. But those Chicago screws can and will fall out if you pick the knife up. Okay. Now, so now we've got, you can see the switch right there, knife is back together, you can see the backspacer, you can see how nice and flush that is. Absolutely beautiful. So we've got just a little pop of color with the flat dark earth, and it matches the switch as well as the blade. Now, there is a little bit of a sheen difference, just because it's different materials. You know, this up here I think is aluminum, I'm pretty sure, on the switch. And then, of course, the blade is Crewware. And then this is 3D printed. But you can see here, the color there is pretty fantastic. So, the little pop of color on the backside, really, really cool. Now, the backspacer does sit perfectly flush with the back end of the knife. So the only time you will see it is, you know, when it's in the pocket, or, you know, when it's off. When you're looking at it like this, you can't see it at all from either side. So you really have to kind of be looking at the end of the knife. Now, the carbon fiber one, it just kind of blends or hides all together. So here's what it looks like with the carbon fiber backspacer installed right there. So this is printed with carbon fiber nylon, very similar to the CF Elite that the handle scales are made out of. You can see that there is a little bit of sheen to it, and you can see that it fits it perfectly. My mini deep carry clip is kind of hanging up over the side there, but yeah, you can see that you know, the backspacer fits the contour of the knife absolutely perfectly. So this is the black carbon fiber version right there. But like I said, I have them in both colorways, the carbon fiber and the flat dark earth. So here's the deal. If you want to pick one of these up, you can go check them out on our website, ocdforedc.com. We'll throw links up in the description. To buy the backspacer, they are $15 for the flat dark earth version, and then it's $18 for the carbon fiber. If you're not comfortable installing this yourself and you would like us to do it for you, we have an option for that as well. So check out our website. You can go on there, you can purchase the backspacer, and then you can purchase to have it installed for you. Obviously, that's going to require you to ship your knife to us. There are instructions that will print on your receipt on where to send the knife, and we just ask that you put a copy of the receipt in with the box when you ship it to us. So, you know, if you go to our website, purchase the backspacer, pick which colorway you want, and then all of your information will be on the receipt as well, as far as the return shipping address. The return shipping back to you is included in the price. And just to let you know, the install price is $35. Like I said, that includes the shipping for your knife back to you. We will turn it around as quickly as possible. But for those of you that have a Benchmade Shootout and want to get rid of that annoying glass breaker, this is a really cool way to do that. Like I said, you can do it to where it just hides seamlessly, or if you want a little pop of color to match the blade and the switch, you can do the flat dark earth. So pretty cool. Definitely digging it. Check out the links up in the description where you can pick up, you know, the Ifixit Tool Kit. By the way, this is a really awesome tool kit. So like I said, I'll throw a link up in the description where you can pick this up, but it also comes with, you know, a whole really nice driver set, and as well as all these tools for your, I mean, this is really meant for electronics, but it works great for any small hardware items. So really great set just to have around the house, and, you know, for all your EDC gear and whatnot. Awesome little toolkit. So I'll throw a few Ifixit things up in the description. Go check out the links down there. We greatly appreciate it. Hopefully you enjoyed that. And hopefully for all you guys out there that have a Benchmade Shootout, you are digging this mod. I'm really digging it. It's super cool and pretty easy to install. Although, like I said, if you're not comfortable tearing your knife apart, we will absolutely do it for you. Okay, a couple of things that I forgot to talk about was Benchmade's warranty. Now, although I cannot speak to their warranty exactly and say, yes, this is going to void their warranty or not, I don't see how it would void the warranty, because you're not making any actual changes to the knife. You're just removing the backspacer, putting this in its place. You could just as easily disassemble the knife, put the factory backspacer back in if you had to ship the knife in for any sort of warranty type items. So I don't really see that it would be an issue. However, you may have to reinstall the backspacer or the original glass breaker if you're going to ship the knife in for warranty. But again, that's really up to Benchmade. I don't really think they're going to void your warranty over something like this, because it's not actually modifying the knife in any sort of permanent way. The other thing that I wanted to talk about is something I noticed on the Shootout is this texture pattern right here. So you've got what appears, you know, kind of looks like a faux bolster with a different texture pattern. And then this area here, the interesting thing there is this is almost exactly, it's not perfectly to scale, but it is almost exactly the exact same shape as the Benchmade bug out. So you can see kind of the swell or the belly right there, going back. You know, of course, that little hole for the lanyard is not represented there. I don't know if that was done intentionally or not, but obviously the handle shape of the Shootout is very bug out-esque, if you will, which is a great thing. You know, you got a little thicker grip here, a little longer, but the Shootout is very comfortable in hand. You know, whether you're putting your thumb up on the ramp this way or this side, either way, it's a very comfortable knife to hold on to, in my opinion. A lot more comfortable once you have the Backspacer deleted, so you don't have a glass breaker poking you and sticking out of your pocket and that sort of thing. As far as sending your knife to us for us to do the install, the process would work that when you place an order on our website for the glass breaker delete, you will choose the colorway, and then if you want us to install the part for you, choose that option. You will be billed for that option when you choose it. Print off the invoice. If you would enclose a copy of that or reference the sales order number somehow, you know, write a note, put it in the box with it when you ship your knife into us, and then the return shipping is included in that. So we'll get the part installed, we'll send you back your original parts with the knife, so you'll have everything sent back. We do not need the factory Benchmade box or any of that stuff. If you send it, it's fine, but you know, it's just as easy and cheaper just to wrap this up in some bubble wrap or whatever and just ship the knife by itself. That's really all we need, is the unmodified knife, and then we can take it apart, do the changes to it, we'll clean it up and all that sort of stuff for you, and put it all back together, send you back the original parts with your knife. So anyway, guys, that's the look at the glass breaker delete for the Benchmade Shootout from yours truly, OCD for EDC. Hopefully you guys enjoy this. Go over to the website. There'll be links up in the description where you can find all the information. Thanks for watching. I'm out of here. Peace.